Hello, welcome to Lost in Movies. I'm Alec Kerr, the film critic for the Conway Daily Sun, and I'm joined by...
Jason Stevens, just an avid movie fan and good friend.
Yeah. And a week ago, we went and saw Clerks III.
Oh, it was so awesome.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith does this thing now with his movies where he tours with them.
Yeah.
He goes around to mostly pot-friendly states because
it makes sense.
Because he's a major stoner now.
Yeah.
And he does an introduction, then he stays for like an hour, 2 hours answering questions. And if I could see every movie that way, I would.
I will say, that's the second time we've got to go. We went and saw the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and now Clerks III. And I agree, it really adds something to that theater experience that you never got in the movie theaters. Although those brought their own experiences, this was something pretty cool.
The closest thing is like going to a Marvel movie on opening night, because the thing is everybody wants to be there. Everybody's a fan. And so when a certain actor comes on the screen, everyone cheers. It's a communal experience. It's very positive. There's lots of laughter, lots of cheering, a little bit of crying.
I will say, this last Clerks, it was definitely emotional at times, and I almost teared up. I didn't, but it was very, very close.
And we'll do a few minutes here where we don't get into spoilers, but I think if we're going to really get into this movie, we kind of have to spoil it.
There's no way to not spoil the movie.
If we really want to get into it.
Yeah.
So in 2018, Kevin Smith had a heart attack. It's so severe, they call it the Widowmaker, because 80% of people who have it don't make it. And he survived it, and so he had this new lease on life. He became a vegan. He decided to just make the movies he wants to make. And so Clerks III is based on that, with the character of Randall has a heart attack, and he decides, well, you know what? I've wasted my life. I'm gonna make a movie about working at a convenience store. Very, very meta.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Somebody get over it. Back over. That's how we did it in the 90s, son.
Can't catch my breath, man.
Really? Should I try mouth stuff?
What is this, a Tinder date? Get off of me. Oh, shit.
Mr. Dante! I need an ambulance at the Quick Stop.
Saved my life, man. Wish I had a life worth saving.
What are you talking about?
Sit around and watch the same movies over and over.
I always thought you could have made a cool movie.
You're right. I'm living on borrowed time. No more watching movies.
I'm gonna make a movie!
What's the movie gonna be about?
It's about him working here.
Meta.
Everything in the script is something either me or someone I know said.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Maybe Jay and Silent Bob could be characters.
Jay and Silent Bob are like C-3PO and R2-D2. They've been here since the first movie, which was the last time they were cool. But they've been with the franchise so long, they still give them cameos and put them on the lunch boxes.
Snifty Booches! Please tell me
I believe in you.
You put in that stuff you used to say about the Death Star contractors.
Get sued by Disney? No way.
Now that's what I call acting!
Take off your pants.
What the hell is this?
I added a scene where you get shot.
I'm not letting you kill me off in the third act. What if there's a sequel?
A sequel? What am I, a hack?
I think it needs more weed.
I love the premise of it, because they go back and that's what they're filming is Clerks.
Yeah.
So it started this whole beautiful ride that we've all been on as fans. It's really, that was fun to watch.
Yeah. And it's very meta in the sense that you are getting insight into how Clerks was actually made. So why it's shot in black and white, why Silent Bob actually has his one line of dialogue. And it's because Jay kept screwing up his line, which is a true story, and they actually put that in the movie. And Jason Mewes being shy about dancing, that was true. That all shows up in the movie, and it's really funny.
That is funny. I didn't know that he was all shy about that, but it makes a lot of sense. Everybody's got to get off scene.
Yeah, go.
Just go.
And it is also a direct sequel to Clerks II, so we do have returning characters from Clerks II.
Yep.
Becky, who becomes Dante's wife, and Elias, who's just this Christian geeky kid that Randall just lets into constantly.
Oh man, it's Elias. He was the best character in the movie. I don't know about that, but he was definitely something else. What they did with Elias in Clerks III was just brilliant. I thought it was hilarious.
He has a crisis of faith.
Oh,
and he
man.
becomes a Satanist, but he's like a geeky kid's idea of what a Satanist
like the nicest Satanist you're ever gonna meet.
And every time you see him, he has this new goth emo.
Oh yeah, every scene he's in some different getup, and it just keeps getting more and more elaborate as the movie goes. Oh, it's
and he'll just be in the background in scenes in some new outfit, and it kills. Like he doesn't have to say anything.
He doesn't have to say a word. It's just his presence in the scene is like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's great. Now, here's where I've been thinking about this movie for all week long now, and I'm like really conflicted. I haven't been this conflicted about a movie in a long time.
Definitely not a Kevin Smith movie.
No, I mean it is. It's definitely a Kevin Smith movie.
Oh,
but
yes.
But it takes a turn, and I just don't know how I feel about it. Well, it takes a turn in the first 5 minutes, so we're gonna get into spoiler territory already.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, this is.
And this like knocked the wind out of me, and I was like, really, we're doing that? And it's just tossed out so casually. You see a card that says, Becky.
Yep.
2006, dead. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. There's no lead up to it.
No.
It really just hits you.
And you're just,
wait,
why is this happening? And 2006, like Clerks 2 came out in 2006, so they literally killed her off.
Like the day after Clerks
the
2 ended, she was killed.
Yeah.
She's dead.
I'm like, what?
And how very little did they go into that. I mean, the little scene in the hospital where he catches the flashback.
Yeah.
Of her
Which
being
I thought
wheeled
was actually
in.
really well handled.
I thought that was a brilliant way to deliver how it happened.
I almost feel like that's how we should have found out the information, because that would have been way more impactful.
Yeah, I agree. Because
then it would have been like, oh, where's Becky? We haven't seen Becky yet. Mm-hmm. She's in the trailer. She's on the poster.
Mm-hmm. No, the way I'm with you. Very conflicted on the way that he wrote Dante in this.
Yeah.
It feels to me that he just hates Dante.
Maybe he hates himself.
Maybe he hates himself. I don't know.
Dante's the character that's based on him.
Yes.
So I have this theory that Becky was written out of the movie because they weren't sure they were going to get Rosario back, and so it was like, oh well, if we can get her back, she can be a ghost. But at the same time, like, having Dante have this emotional conflict is like the crux of his character. So maybe it was always supposed to be that way. But Rosario and Brian O'Halloran have such incredible chemistry together.
They do.
And so to have her be dead the entire time, it's just such a waste.
That's what kills me about it was, so now you see Dante, what are we, 15 years later after the end of Clerks 2? So for the last 15 years...
He's been mourning.
He's been in mourning and just dying or dead already on the inside, just kind of going through the motions day to day. So it's a really sad arc that they give Dante, like extremely sad arc. I feel terrible for him because, he just really never gets resolution to that.
No, and then my other thought for why they had to get rid of Becky is because Becky was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And Jay and Silent Bob Reboot was already a father-daughter story. And this daughter or son, we don't know the gender of the baby, would have been like 15, 16 in this movie.
Yep.
And so I feel like Kevin Smith didn't want to repeat
what happened with the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Not what happened, but the plot
because it would have been too parental stories back to back.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's why he did that. If that's the case, why not just have it be that Becky lost the child? And Dante still would have had all that grief and all that pain.
Yes, but Becky would have helped him get through that.
I know, but like Dante has a big angry speech at Randall.
Oh, it's excellent.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
And it could have played out the same way. Like, oh, you're talking about you had a heart attack. Oh, your pain. Well, I lost a kid. It could have played out the exact same way.
Absolutely, yeah. But I don't think it would have been as impactful.
No.
For his loss and that big blow up at Randall at the end, which I thought that was some of, I think, Kevin Smith's like best monologue writing he's done. That was, and the
Brian
performance just freaking nails it.
Yeah, sells it.
Wow, I didn't think he had those kind of chops in him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really does. It gets you going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Brian O'Halloran, he's a good actor, but not a great actor. But he has his moments here, and Rosario Dawson brings the best out of him. Their scenes together, she just elevates him.
Yeah,
elevates
very beautiful. The cinema scene at the end.
Yeah,
that one had me almost tearing up there. That was
so,
pretty impactful.
Here's the thing that I'm struggling with. Dante dies.
He does.
And I guess I don't really have a problem with the fact that Dante dies, but I have a problem with how it's handled. The fact that he dies of heart attack. So we saw Randall have a heart attack. Now Dante has a heart attack. Like, it just seems a little lack of originality, like a little flat. Like, oh, they both had heart attacks and one survived, one didn't. Like, I don't know. Like, something about that just feels off to me.
Well, I mean,
it was teased though, because the doctor said, "Hey, you need to."
That's what I was just about to bring up. Is there was a heavy foreshadowing there. And they both have lived the same lives, like the doctor says. So it kind of, like, well, yeah, Randall, I mean, you're freaking, a lot of stuff, emotions are bottled up, and you a lot of stress on you, and it makes a lot of sense that it would be a heart attack.
Yeah, it's just, in terms of a movie, though, it's just like, oh, we're watching another one.
Yeah.
We're watching another heart attack now. It's like, and I get it, like, Kevin Smith likes to pull from his life, so he's like, oh, well, I've had a heart attack, so I guess I'll have both my characters have a heart attack. And I guess, it is also him, like, writers play out scenarios. And so it's like, okay, what if I didn't survive the heart attack?
Right.
This is what would happen. And so I have both characters to play that with. So I'm kind of working it out as I'm talking, but I don't know. I feel like what cheapened it for me is there's this beautiful funeral scene. And Randall kind of plays with the line, he wasn't even supposed to be here today. And it's the funeral. And it's like, oh, that's a gut punch.
That one is a gut punch.
And then there's another scene, and it just seems to, like, undermine the entire movie, where you have Emma come back. And Emma was Dante's fiance in Clerks II that he cheated on with Becky, and she leaves. And so she's very bitter and angry with him. And to pay for the movie, he gets a loan from her, but puts up his half of the store. And so she's coming back to get that half of the store. And I'm like, Clerks doesn't need a villain. Clerks has never needed a villain. Why are we doing this? And it's coming after we just had this beautiful funeral scene. And then there's this this whole thing where it's like, oh, they magically have the money. And it's like, this is such a weak ending. And it cheapens things.
I felt, I agree. I think the ending could have been handled a lot differently. The one that you wrote out, I thought was beautiful.
I came up with this ending.
That would have been really good.
I came up with this ending where instead of, you see the funeral, but Randall doesn't give his big speech. And the whole Emma thing is gone. And you see them seeing the movie at Sundance.
Yeah.
And Randall comes out, gives his speech, he was supposed to be here today.
I think that would have been just as impactful.
Just as impactful.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I thought, to make it more kind of Kevin Smith, lighthearted, he looks off, sees Forrest, goes, maybe Yoda's there just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Just as a nod to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to him, and he takes a question like Kevin Smith would be, and it would be something like, hey, what do you think of the sequels? Oh, don't get me started on the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, it just goes on and
then it pushes back, and you see the audience, and it's full of all the View Askew characters.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And I thought that would have been a better ending.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do as well. Kevin Smith, if you ever see this, consider that.
Yeah, redo
know?
it. And then I was like, the other thing that was bothering me was bringing back Emma. And I get it. It's Kevin's wife. He loves putting his wife in movies. He loves putting his daughter in movies. And it's just because he loves working with his family and friends. It's not even a nepotism thing. He just likes working with his family and friends. As I said, I don't think you need a villain in Clerks. And here's my solution to that. To get the money, he sells his wedding bands. And then, because there's this whole confrontation in the hospital where Randall's like, I didn't know about Emma, I didn't know about Emma. What if he's shouting, I didn't know about the wedding bands, I didn't know you sold the wedding bands?
Again, I think that would have been just as good, But I think it was also the nostalgia feels to try and get all of the old characters back into the new one, And
you could have Emma in there, but just like, I just can't believe that that's the only way Dante could have thought of raising money is to get a loan from his ex-fiancée he hasn't talked to in 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get a loan. You can't take out a second mortgage on the Quick Stop.
Maybe they're mortgaged right out.
Maybe they are.
You never know. I would imagine they could have be carrying a second, third mortgage on that place.
Kevin Smith sold his comic book collection. Like, if we're going for realism, do that, or max out credit cards. Like I don't know. It just seemed really plotty.
It's also Kevin Smith has taken a turn, and he said himself he's really trying to explore like the feels.
Yes.
And this one was a really, I think, his first like real dive into playing with real emotions, not just all just the silly gags.
Yeah, I mean, he did in Jay and Silent Bob.
He did. I think that was his first take into it, and I really liked it. I thought it was well done. And in this one, I think he was really trying to go for that knockout punch.
Yeah.
And he may have overplayed it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, it worked.
It does.
Like, it affected me.
Yeah.
I teared up. I cried. It was just when I started thinking about, like, was it the best way to do it?
No, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably
But here's the thing that like really got to me when I started thinking about it. Like, so Randall goes back and shows Dante on his deathbed.
Yeah, on his
shows
deathbed,
him the movie he made and says, it was about you. It's always been about you. And he starts watching it, and it's Clerks. I'm like, wait, what is this? Like, Randall doesn't have de-aging technology. Why is it Clerks? And then it goes to Dante in this magical theater, this like in-between limbo with Becky, and he ends by saying that's the best movie I've ever seen. And I might just well up just saying this.
Yeah.
He wasn't watching the movie. He was watching his life.
Yeah, he was watching his life back. That's a great way. Yeah, you're exactly right. I just thought, they were using the old can for the, just for the aesthetic feel of it. But no, you're right. It was him just reliving his life.
He was watching his life. Because there were scenes from Clerks 2 in there, too.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's actually really
that was good.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's got the chops. Kevin Smith has got some moves when it comes to the feels. I think he's just got to keep playing with it, perfect how to deliver it and how to, to bring it all together in the end.
Yeah.
And I felt the end was a bit choppy.
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, totally. Didn't take away anything from the movie for the most part, except again, he just felt he treated Dante so badly.
Yeah. Like, and, they had this fight with each other. And that's the thing. There's always a big blowout between Dante and Randall.
Sure.
And Randall does apologize, and you see in Dante's eyes that he forgives him. And he says that that was the best movie I ever saw, so he's happy with what his life was. But, like, you're right. Like,
there was no resolution
for
Dante.
No.
On any part of it. Like, so Becky, through the whole movie, he sees her, and talks to her as a ghost at her graveyard. That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
And the whole time,
and funny too.
But she's trying to push him past his grief.
Yeah.
Like, you have to start living again.
Yeah.
And you have to start living it, and you have to imagine that he's been seeing her the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole 15 years, and the whole message has got to have been the same. That's what she would have wanted for him.
And then it seems like he just gives up. It was almost an implication, because she does say, like, hey, you could go back, and it's just like, nah, I want to go with you.
Right.
And it's, And there's another thing, another thread that I thought was dropped, and maybe I should give him credit for not going the direction I thought he was going to go. But Veronica comes back from Clerks, and it almost seems like it's going to be, they're going to rekindle their relationship because she mentions that she's got a divorce.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay. So Becky's going to say, hey, it's okay.
Yeah,
you can go with Veronica.
There was definitely that option.
And he didn't go that way.
And he did not go that way. You know, he could have given him that resolution and still kill him.
Yeah.
But resolve,
yeah,
losing his family, at least trying to get past that. And this is where my wife and I differ, because this is where she sees this tale and saw it as beautiful, because that's all that Dante really wanted, was to be back with Becky and his unborn child. But that's just incredibly sad.
Yeah.
And you think about it, Dante's in hell for the last 15 years and then just dies.
Yeah. But then his ghost shows up next to Randall looking at him.
Right.
And seemingly Randall couldn't see him. So, is he a guardian angel for Randall now?
I definitely, I could see that. Or Randall is seeing him in his mind's eye.
Right.
Because, what's Randall without Dante,
and
right?
That's such a sad ending for Randall.
It is such a sad ending
because he's
for
like,
Randall.
Elias, you're my new best friend, but he hates Elias.
No, he loves Elias.
I know, but it's not the same dynamic at all.
It's not,
never
because
will be.
he can't really bully Dante like he can Elias.
No, not the same way.
The crap's flowing downhill. I see. He's got a little lackey that he can pound on a little bit.
Right.
Not that Dante pounds on Randall, but Randall obviously looks up to Dante, and Dante would be like Randall's hero, I would imagine. And probably in some way, Dante needs Randall in his life. But without Dante, now Randall is forced to live for the both of them. And I think he, after his own heart attack, really sees that and takes it seriously.
Right.
And in the end credits, Kevin Smith does the little talk over and kind of fills you in with what happens at the end.
Yeah, and says that he has a successful career and everything, which is like, and I appreciate the monologue over the credits. It's nice, but it's also one of those cardinal sins of filmmaking: show, don't tell. And that's where...
let the imagination take over and build...
Or, because we didn't... That's the other thing that was bugging me, and that's kind of why I came up with my ending, is that we got no resolution on the film. What happened to the film? Yeah, he told us it was a success.
He told us in the credits, but you have no idea. It's just... that was
So, having it play out that it got to Sundance and it was a success, and you could see that Randall was going to be okay. Like that final shot where it's just like, okay, I'm just here, and I'm really sad. Like, it's poignant, it's affecting, but I don't know.
That's where you're left with.
Yeah.
And without the little talk over there, you would be, very I don't know about disappointed. That's the wrong word, because
it's emotionally satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I'm like really conflicted about it. Like, and I hate even saying anything bad about Kevin Smith, because he's such a puppy dog. And he's so sincere and so earnest and loyal. He's loyal to his fans. He's loyal to his family, to his friends.
Yeah.
He is. He's like this little puppy dog.
He's on a 50-tour date right now with the movie. That's a lot of stops.
I know.
Man, that is dedication.
That is dedication.
I mean, of course, it's a money thing. It's how he funds his next projects and things like that, or at least helps pay off the debt from the final project. But I think the way that he's doing it is brilliant. You know, he's doing it his way, making his movies for his fans, and really not taking any... He's doing what he wants, the way that he wants to do.
And that's the thing, like, I had the honor of getting to actually interview him for like 40 minutes, and I wish I'd actually done it after I'd seen the movie. I don't even think he'd be upset with it. He'd be like, oh, those are actually those are good ideas.
I think so. I think he would listen to it,
It's not like I'm saying the movie's terrible. What the hell?
I really think it's one of his best movies.
Yeah, it's certainly one of his best movies in a while. And I like Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I even like Yoga Hosers. I'm one of the only people, but I did.
Oh, man, he's...
But that's the thing. He makes the movies he want to make. So.
He makes the movies he want to make, and they're not always for you.
No.
Even as a Kevin Smith fan, you know. And it's funny realizing, I've been a Kevin Smith fan since Mallrats. That was my first take on him. And Dogma. I love that. It's my wife's absolute favorite. Yeah. It's sad to hear that the Weinstein Company owns that movie. Yeah. And he doesn't own the rights to that.
Yeah, and he talked about that.
He did, That was
He said that he offered $5 million.
I thought it was $1 million. They
it
went
may
up
have
to
been
$1 million.
It may have been million. And then he went up to 5. And then I think he even said he went up to 10. And they still said
That's
no.
disgusting.
It's his movie, and I get Harvey Weinstein owns it, but
It can't be making Weinstein anything.
he's not making anything. It's not on any streaming services.
Nowhere. You can find it nowhere.
Luckily, I have the DVD,
Yep.
but the DVD's out of print. You have to spend hundreds of dollars to get a copy. It's not on Blu-ray,
No.
so he's just holding it to hold it.
Yeah,
and he's not even getting anything from it.
Nothing. He's just a dick. There must have been some bad stuff between them two that there's a grudge match or something. And I could
I think it's also. I mean, we know Harvey Weinstein's
I'm not
a piece of crap.
Oh yeah.
And I've been reading this book right here, and he talked about like how Harvey would bully him and push him into doing things. Like there was a story about how he was going to actually at one point direct the Ghost of Girlfriends Past.
Okay. With Matthew McConaughey?
It was originally supposed to be Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck was pushing the movie, and he was like, Kevin, you should direct this. They were going to do it over, I think, at Fox or something, or Warner Brothers. It wasn't, Miramax was not involved with it. But Miramax would do this thing where they would try to push themselves into other movies to get a little cut of the action. And Fox or whatever studio was like, we don't know. And so Harvey called Kevin up into his hotel room, the hotel room where all the stuff went down. Not that the sexy stuff went down, but he said, so Kevin, what were you going to do about this? And he's like, I'm going to go make the movie. And Harvey like crawled across the couch and started bellowing at him, you're not going to make that effing movie. And so it's this bizarre loyalty thing where Kevin eventually broke ties with Harvey Weinstein because of course he did.
Yeah.
And so now because Kevin's not loyal to him.
Right. He's grudge. Yeah, well,
and Kevin was vocal, like, "Hey, I didn't know about all this terrible stuff.
Situation.
I didn't know about all this terrible stuff, but like, I'm done with him." And all the money his movies made with Miramax, he donates it to women's abuse.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fantastic, way to go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Kevin Smith movies. I learned that you have not seen Red State.
I haven't seen Red State. I also haven't seen Tusk.
Skip Tusk.
Those are the two movies I haven't seen of his.
I don't understand Tusk. It felt like a Human Centipede ripoff.
Like, do you know the origin of Tusk?
I have no clue.
Or Tusk, rather. He was done with making movies. After he made Red State, he was like, okay, I made this movie that's unlike anything I've ever made before.
Oh, it totally is, yeah.
And he was done with the Hollywood system. He'd been burnt by it too much. He was over, and he just embraced podcasting. He loved doing podcasting. So for 4 years, that's all he focused on. And then in a podcast, he was joking around about how, like, hey, I'll make a movie about where we turn a guy into a walrus. And so it became hashtag walrus yes, hashtag walrus no. And if walrus yes got more than walrus no,
they're gonna make the movie.
So he made the movie.
Oh,
so I mean, on that level, it's almost kind of hilarious this movie exists.
It's something. I mean,
I should watch
Justin Long does his best.
Yeah,
but
I know Michael Parks is just he's an extraordinary actor.
Oh, that dude is the creepiest guy.
Yeah.
He is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But even with all of that, it's just so out there and it's so crazy that it's hard to even
that's why
want to slip into that realm and the semi-believableness.
Yeah, and that's I gotta give him credit. He makes the movies he wants to make. He's threatening to make a sequel.
Oh God!
I think,
and the sad thing is I would watch it.
Yeah,
he's
like it's in 2024. He's like it's going to be the 10th anniversary of Tusk, so I'm going to make Tusks.
Oh,
and he's like, I reached out to the cast, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do it.
Can't make a worser version of it, so go for it, I guess.
The next movie he's going to make, which I'm actually excited about. Did you hear he bought a movie theater?
I did. Yes.
He bought a movie theater. It's the movie theater that back in New Jersey that he went to growing up with his father.
Yep.
And so he bought it. He's going to run it like a normal movie theater, but he's also going to have like a Marvel movie club. He's going to show his own movies. He's also going to do a film school.
See, oh yeah, that's brilliant. I love that idea.
Yeah.
would be almost worthy to go to Jersey just to check that out.
I know. I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking I don't have any major reasons to go to New Jersey.
I know.
But now...
I might do a little Kevin Smith tour because he has the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash,
Yep, the Secret Stash. We were driving through Jersey this last year, and we looked it up on GPS. I'm like, are we even close? And we weren't even close, or we would have made the small detour to go.
But so he's written a movie set in the 80s, about when he was a teenager, hopping from movie theater to movie theater so he could sneak into R-rated movies with all of his buddies.
I gotta say, I'm excited for that because I used to do the same thing. My stepmother taught me how to do it. How to get into pay for one and then watch them all.
Yeah.
So I did that as a kid for years.
So that's what the movie's going to be. And what I'm excited about this is that, and I love Kevin Smith, but he's kind of been repeating himself a lot and going back to the same well. And I like Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and I like Clerks 3. I love Clerks 2, but this would be something different, and it would be outside of his normal universe. It wouldn't be in the Askew universe, the View Askew universe. And so to see him doing something different, doing something from when he was younger instead of in his 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see him push himself into a different area.
There's a lot of comedy there. I think he can tap into that early 80s vibe, and I think he would be all over it.
Kevin Smith take on the 80s.
Yeah, I'm excited for the concept of it.
And so he's going to film it at this movie theater he just got.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So I'm really excited about that one. And he says he's going to start shooting that one next year. And he said, I don't think I'm going to tour with that one because it doesn't seem like that's the touring kind of movie. But
I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong on that one, Kevin.
Yeah.
I would book tickets now if you put them on sale, just so. And I think that place would fill up just like it has the last 2 times.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I do want to reach out because he said something that got me thinking there.
Yeah.
Somebody posed the question on the Q&A section.
Yeah.
When is he going to open up a movie's one shot?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, a restaurateur is going to have to reach out to him. What about a food truck?
Yeah.
Now, I would happily set up a mobile movies for a day somewhere.
You should look into it.
I'm gonna reach out and try to set that up. Because
you have to go to movies.com or something like that.
Yeah.
You should look into it.
Yeah, so next year I'm gonna try to work that out for like next season sometime.
That would be cool.
See if we can get it up to Portland. And set it up there and just do a mobile movies.
Yeah, because I think they send you the ingredients, or maybe you have to buy it yourself. I don't know. But
just simple burgers and stuff. I mean,
yeah, but there's certain things you have to have.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it has to be to like certain standards. So they might.
Oh, I'll go all out. We'll turn it into a mobile movies.
Yeah. And I think
we'll get it done
because for a while they were actually you could buy a Movies burger at home and do your own home kit. So I feel like what they do is they find a restaurateur. They send them all the ingredients so it's up to standard, and you're going to get the same movie burger you get anywhere across the country.
Right.
And I think there's like vegan options too, and everything. It would be great.
Oh, I would have a blast with that.
Yeah,
that would be
cool.
Fun. So I'll be looking into that, see if I can't pull something like that off.
The thing, and this is just like my look at the journalist in me. I've been to 2 of the Q&A now, and it boggles my mind the questions these people ask, because they're supposed to be super fans. If you're going to ask a question, you should be a super fan. And they're like asking the most, like, Kevin Smith talks all the time. All this information is out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the, I think, because I know you left early, I think you missed this. The last question was, so how did Jay and Silent Bob get in Scream 3? I'm like, Google it. Like,
I didn't catch that one. I must have just left.
You have your moment with Kevin Smith, and that's your question?
Yeah.
Like,
see, I didn't even get in line because I couldn't think of a question worthy enough to stand in line and wait. And I know this is your second time in the Q&A line, and you've missed it by like one question.
Yeah, both times.
Like both times.
And this time, I didn't even want to like ask a question.
Right, you had just done the interview.
I just wanted to be like, hey Kevin, you said to say hi. Here's a copy of the newspaper. And I wanted to tell him, but I was supposed to. I had to censor it completely. Like originally, I had like the F ***K, the S ***T, but my editor was like, you need to cut all of that. you can't have any of it in there because it makes him sound foul-mouthed. And I was like,
Well,
he is foul-mouthed.
He's
And I
quite
thought,
foul-mouthed.
I thought if I told that to Kevin, he'd got a kick out of it. But here's the real reason we had to do it. The cover story for that was about the Mennonites.
Right on the same front page.
And then it says
Mennonites in Conway. Also interview with Kevin Smith.
And if you go through the paper, it's like page 9, the end of the Mennonites. You turn the next page, page 10, Kevin Smith. So I'm like, okay. I was like, all right.
More conflicting stories there.
I was like, all right, I'll give you that one. We probably shouldn't have it F-bomb, F-bomb,
okay, I get it.
But if I feel like if I got the chance to tell Kevin Smith that story, he would have
I think he would quite enjoy that one.
He would have been laughing. And that's the thing. When I got to do my interview, I was like, I don't want to hear the same anecdotes that I've heard because he's got all of these anecdotes preloaded. He knows how to go into them.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, like I'd say 75% of the Q&A responses I'd already heard before because I've read that book. I've seen other things, watched his podcast, listened to his podcast. I'd heard most of it. So when I did my interview with him, I tried really, really hard to come up with something he hadn't heard before to get him to say something different. And I did get him to say, no one's ever asked me that question before. And I was like, yes.
Yep.
And the question was, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is that he only became a stoner on Zack and Miri Make a Porno. Because Seth Rogen smoked him up. Up to that point, he wasn't a stoner. So all of his previous movies, Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks II, where he played a stoner and wrote and created the character Jay, like Jay and Silent Bob, like they are stoner icons.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't a stoner. So I was like, how, now that you are a stoner, what is it like looking back at those characters? Like, has your perspective changed on them? And that's when he was like, nobody has ever asked me that question. And it's fascinating. He's like, I look back and I think, look at that poser. I'm a poser. Like,
I'm a poser. Yeah, this is all fake.
This is all fake. Yeah. No stoner made that movie. But he's like, but my fans kind of give it a slide. And if you look at Jay and Silent Bob Reboot or Clerks 3.
Well, he finally came around to our side of thinking. So we've forgiven him.
He's like, the jokes are a little deeper cut and it's a little bit more extreme. And maybe most mainstream America isn't the abject stoner that I am because he is a wake and bake, stoned all day kind of guy.
Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith.
Way to be.
It's kind of appropriate. I'm like Kevin Smith pre-stoner.
Yep.
And you're Kevin Smith post-stoner.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I don't smoke. But I still love his movies. So.
Yep. Well, that's the brilliant thing about it is, it doesn't just cater to the stoners.
No.
We enjoy it because, it's quite funny and we get...
Yeah.
But yeah, he hits a lot of different audiences, I think.
He does.
And he's not as well known as I assumed.
No, he really isn't. And that was a question I was going to ask you. And I was just on Magic 104 the other day talking about Clerks because that's all I do now is talk about
Clerks.
And the question was asked, like, do you think a casual fan would enjoy Clerks 3? Maybe somebody who saw Clerks like when it first came out, maybe saw Clerks 2.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think you could go into the franchise on Clerks 3.
Yeah.
And still enjoy the movie. You're not going to get a lot of the post humor in the flashback things, but like I said, what he does with Elias and a few of the other bit characters, it's too entertaining to not watch.
Yeah. And I think there's so much nostalgia for the original Clerks.
Oh, yeah.
And they had bring back characters that were just the bit actors that had one line. And you're just like, oh, look, it's that guy.
Yeah.
And they brought this one actress in. It was the one that was like, where Randall's like, I don't appreciate your ruse, ma'am. That actress was just a local theater actor who's for 30 years now has still been acting. And so Kevin threw her a little bone. Her bit, that what she's known for in that town is that she does Lucy.
She does. Oh yes, yeah, the Lucy lady.
So she's like,
she wanted to do one scene as Lucy.
Gave her the script and be like, I gave you a little something, and so she's like, no, you didn't, and so it's great. Like, so it's funny in the movie not knowing that backstory.
Right, but that's
it's
even
better.
Yeah, that's with the backstory is hilarious because it was so like out of left field crazy. Like she wanted to do the scene one time as Lucy.
This was her take.
I was like, what?
With one for you, one for me. Yeah,
man.
so I do think so because unlike like you couldn't go into Jay. If you're not a Kevin Smith fan, you could not go into Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
That's too much.
You couldn't
Way
go into
too
that
much.
movie
You're
and
gonna
like
be,
it.
Yeah, no.
But this, I do think so. I do think you'd have to at least be a casual fan. But if you at least were familiar with the idea of Clerks, I think you could appreciate it.
If you like Mallrats,
Yeah.
If you think Mallrats is funny, I think the rest are great. If
Yeah.
you can't get past Mallrats, like, oh, this is so stupid, don't even try. I wouldn't think, because you're not going to get his humor. You're not going to.
Yeah.
I don't think. Go Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
You know that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't go Cop Out, because that's just.
Well, Cop Out, that's another one that's got a tragic story because, like, Cop Out had one of the, it was called the Blacklist. There's the Blacklist thing, Blacklist scripts, where they're the best unproduced scripts in Hollywood. And Cop Out, which was originally called A Couple of Dicks, because they're detectives. So
Yep.
I'm not even being foul-mouthed.
That funny play on words.
Funny play
yeah.
on words. And the studio said we can't call it that. And so they're like, fine. Why don't we just call it Cop Out? Because that's what it is. It's a cop out.
Copping out, yeah.
But Bruce Willis was a horror to work with.
Yeah.
And this could be a sign of that maybe he was already having. Because he
could have been on the early stages of that.
I forget what it's called. But he has difficulty with words. And so the story was he would just be like, not doing that. Not doing that, just ripping pages out of the script. So basically gutting this great script because he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's a shame because it's like, well, what would have that movie been if
It
Kevin
had
could have been
such
able
great
to make?
potential.
Yeah.
Such great potential.
Tracy
but-
Morgan's in it.
Hilarious.
Sean and William Scott. There is some good stuff in there.
There is some good stuff in
The
there.
problem
but
is you got Bruce Willis sleepwalking through the movie.
Yeah, not giving a crap.
Yeah.
And it definitely plays.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So, but you keep moving forward,
Yeah,
you know, ditch that and keep going. I got a question for you about Kevin Smith. What would you like to see him do that he hasn't done before?
You know, like I said, I'm really excited about this going back and doing like a movie set in the 80s with teenagers. Like that is outside of what he's done before.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'd like to see him do that. I really like Jersey Girl. I'd like to see him do another like PG-13 romantic comedy because he could do it and do it well.
Oh, yeah.
And Jersey Girl, that's another one where Harvey Weinstein kind of screwed him over because the whole Bennifer thing happened. And it's not even just Harvey Weinstein. The whole Bennifer thing happened. But the backlash between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's relationship.
Yeah.
They actually got together on that movie. And then Geely came out first, and the public had entirely turned on them. And there was actually, they cut about 20 minutes out of the movie at the beginning. That was their relationship. But Harvey Weinstein was like, actually said, hey, can we just cut her out of the movie completely? Because we don't want to deal with this Jennifer Lopez Bennifer thing anymore. And so it got gutted to being, I think she only has like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah,
of screen.
very small.
Because she dies in that movie. And like that was always the intention. But there was supposed to be like 30 minutes at the beginning of the movie.
To set the relationship.
And early testing for it was through the roof. But then the audience turned on Bennifer. And it started getting, so that movie didn't get its chance.
No.
It was actually being produced as an award season movie. Like they had so much faith in it.
Yeah.
And then when the public turned on Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, they tossed it out in March, no fanfare.
Yeah, it wasn't given a shot.
So I'd love to see him take another shot at it because a lot of times what happens with Kevin Smith is he makes a movie, it doesn't do well, and he says, okay, well, people don't want me to do that. And he gives up on it. And I feel like he decided that's not what people want from him. They don't want him to do sort of this sincere family story. And he gave up on that, which that could have been a whole different direction for him.
Absolutely. I don't see why he should pigeonhole himself into a certain style or a type. I mean, Like, you make what you want. I mean, if those are the movies that he wants to make, well, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and if you want to keep making Tusk, go for it.
Go for it. You've earned the right. You've
Make whatever
got
you
to
want.
that spot in your career where you can do what you want.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Yeah.
Why
And
not?
He can't get funding for it, but like he wants to make another movie within that universe of the Tusk yoga hosers called Moose Jaws.
I've heard about Moose Jaws.
And he's like, and everyone's like, "What's Moose Jaws?" And it's like, "Well, it's Jaws, but with a moose." And it's like, that's such a dumb idea. But I'd watch the heck out of it.
I'd watch it, of course, because I think he's got great potential for horror.
Yeah.
Red State. I heard the way that he wrote Red State was he would sit and he would write a segment, and when he got to the point where you could kind of foreshadow what's coming, he just goes left.
Yeah.
And takes it in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And he does that through the whole movie. And it's pretty creepy. Like, very unsettling in scenes, but very good about this, religious cult. And
Yeah. Well, I was just reading about that, actually. And he talked about, because that character, this religious cult leader, basically, it's based on the Westboro Baptist.
Yes.
And Fred Phelps. And so his friend was making a documentary and interviewed him, Fred Phelps. And only like 10 minutes were used for the movie. And like Kevin Smith was like, I can't believe you actually got him to talk to you, because his friend is gay, but he was able to pass as not being gay because Fred Phelps hates gay people.
Westboro Baptist Church, they love the gays.
Yeah.
They
He's
don't.
like, oh, let me show you. I have an hour of raw footage. And Kevin Smith watched it, and he was like, it was terrifying.
Oh, I can
because,
imagine.
And that was the germ of Red State, was like, he was so calm and so articulate.
Yeah.
But everything he was saying was insane.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a terrifying character.
Oh,
and the fact that you can get people behind you because you're so soft-spoken,
you're so
and
charismatic, that the insanity doesn't register.
Yeah.
People just assume you know what you're talking about because you deliver it so well.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
Yeah.
I think he should play into some horror.
Yeah.
I think he could do well in a good horror setting.
Yeah.
I would like to see a horror movie.
There's a lot of his projects over the years that he announces and then they fall apart. And there was one called Hit Somebody. And it was based on a Warren Zevon song about a hockey player. And it got developed as being a mini-series for a little while. And I actually talked to him about it. And he was just like, yeah, I'm still hoping that happens. And it's a story of a girl and a boy who both love hockey. And it's a love story about these two kids who love hockey and falling in love with themselves and the game. And I'd love to see the Kevin Smith sports movie about two people falling in love and the love of the game. And he's like, I've moved past that in terms of interest, but like I go back and reread those scripts. And I'm so proud of them. They're so good, even though like I'm not really as into hockey as I once was. I reread these and I'm like, yes, let's do this. So it was like, he just started his own comic line. Like he's his own press. Secret Stash Press is what it's called, of course. And he's like, maybe my thought is maybe we could turn it into a comic. Because maybe somebody will read the comic and go like, oh, this is a movie. Yeah. So that's one I would want to see.
That would be good. I am surprised he hasn't done a superhero movie yet.
Yeah, he always kind of like says, I'm not. He was supposed to do the Green Hornet.
Oh, I'm glad he...
He was supposed to do it. He wrote it, and he was all set to do it. Miramax was going to do it, and he's like, I don't have the skill set to do this. And...
Well, see, that's where I think he's wrong. He's got to look at it differently. Bring Kevin Smith's superhero.
Yeah.
From View Askew universe.
Well, he meant... you seem like a Blunt Man and Chronic movie.
Well, that was his kind of take on it. But no, like go at it, introduce a superhero into the View Askew verse.
Okay. Well, he has Ranger Danger, who we saw bits of, and that's a character he's created. And we don't really know anything about him. I'd be interested in a Ranger Danger movie.
I would check it out, yeah. I mean, I would like to see him take like a fanboy and turn him into a Kevin Smith superhero of some kind.
That could be interesting. He actually has directed for the CW. So I don't know if you knew this. He directed episodes of Supergirl.
Okay.
He directed episodes of The Flash.
So he's got. I mean, he's dipping his toe into
Yeah.
that verse, but I
Yeah.
think he could create his own
Here's
askew verse. You know,
Well, here's
I'm
the sad
surprised he
thing.
hasn't ventured
Here's the
down that.
sad thing. With the whole HBO Max thing being bought out by Discovery or Warner being and they're just gutting HBO Max, like
Yeah.
they canceled Batgirl. Well, there was another project that was in pre-production, didn't even make it to being made, that got canceled, and it was I forget what it was called, but it was going to be an anthology series of different random characters of like the DC universe that don't get a lot of attention, and they'd be one-off stories. And they had tapped Kevin Smith about writing and directing one. He was going to make a Bizarro, like Superman Bizarro. He was going to do a Bizarro story.
That would have been awesome.
But it got canned. And he was like, at one point, our thought was, and this would play back into his history, they were going to get Nicolas Cage to play Bizarro.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
I know.
That would have been amazing.
Because he actually wrote a Superman script back in the 90s.
Yeah.
That didn't come to fruition. And there's great stories, you can find them online, of him talking about how that went down and how he didn't get to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he just keep grinding them out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not all going to be hits. That's cool, but I'll keep watching them.
Yeah, and he was writing comics. He's doing podcasts. He's fine. He's become a personality, and so more power to him.
Yeah, it's pretty neat seeing somebody in Hollywood doing it their way.
Yeah.
Not Hollywood's way, because as we've all learned, Hollywood's way is pretty shady.
Yeah.
And just full of nasty people.
And so it's
he
kinda
doesn't
cool.
he seems like a legitimate person, very
Yeah.
honest man. So for that kind of personality to actually make it into the Hollywood realm and produce his own movies and get going like that, it's a pretty cool story. I think he's a pretty decent man, and he doesn't cave into that Hollywood scene, I don't think.
No, and it's kind of amazing that he's been able to carve out his own niche by doing the podcasts and getting this fan base, and he doesn't have to. For the longest time, they were trying to, and in his book, they were trying to take him to the next level. Like, Jersey Girl is going to be the movie that takes you to the next level. Zack and Miri Make You a Porno is going to be the movie that takes you to the next level. And he's like, I don't need to get to that next. I have my fan base.
Well, and he's doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I think he's made what he wanted to do in Hollywood. Like, that was his goal.
Yeah.
And he's living it. So
And he's just making
why
the
do you
movies.
need to change?
But I did want to I do have a couple clips I want to throw in here. I had you watch. So after Clerks was a hit, in the 90s they had this thing where they always wanted to, 80s and 90s, where I always wanted to take a hit movie and turn it into a TV series.
Yep.
They tried to do that with Clerks.
Yeah, I watched that this morning.
And it was like Kevin Smith had nothing to do with it, and you can tell.
Oh, you can totally tell.
And it's like they took the name Clerks and the premise of, it's just a bunch of slackers working in a convenience store, and they didn't actually watch the movie because it's just that typical 90s sitcom humor, and it's awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
It was positioned as a vehicle for Jim Breuer, and you can kind of tell, because it's kind of just that Jim Breuer kind of humor. But I don't know. It's just, we got a clip. Just watch it. It's bad.
It's really bad.
These are some really great items, Sandra.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Sandra, explain something. You seem to be very health conscious, yet every day you nuke yourself in order to attain an unnatural tan.
You're one of those people who thinks that tanning causes cancer, right?
Oh, you mean one of those smart people?
So what does cause cancer, Sandra?
Lotion. Think about it. Everyone who tans uses lotion.
You're serious.
It could be true, Dante. Leave the poor goddess alone.
Oh, Todd, come on. Give me a break. Lotion? There's nothing in this stuff that could... Ow! What? Ow! Ow! I'm melting! I'm melting! I'm melting!
You're weird.
So there's that, but Kevin Smith did do a Clerks animated series.
Fantastic.
And unfortunately ABC canned it because in the production of it they were really excited about it because at the time ABC was like the 4th rated station. They were trying to get into adult animated cartoons. They were like, okay, this could be like our Simpsons or something. But then a little thing happened just before it was about to debut. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came out and rocketed them to the #1 network. And all of a sudden it was, we need more reality shows, we need more game shows. And they didn't care about the cartoon anymore. And they canned it after 2 episodes. 6 episodes were made, they only aired 2 of them. And they ran them out of order. They ran the 4th episode first, and then the 2nd episode. The 2nd episode is hilarious, though, because the 2nd episode is a parody of clip show episodes, where it's like, hey, you remember that time? And so it's all flashbacks to the first episode, which never aired. Which makes the joke even funnier. But there's my favorite bit in this is where, in the 4th episode, they have this bit where they say, the animators lost the script, so the Korean animators had to finish the episode themselves. So that's this clip.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
In the case of Jay versus Dante Hicks, we find in favor of...
We're sorry. Due to circumstances beyond our control, the script to the rest of the episode was lost on its way overseas. Luckily, the episode was finished by the Korean animators. We hope you enjoy the new ending.
We find in favor of...
Big American Party! Yay! Everybody disco dancing. Lots of fun. Good time for all. I'm having very good time. Robot dancing? Oh no, please! Quickly in here! Who is driving? Oh my god, Bear is driving! How can that be? Car full of midgets! Korean animation studio! Everybody work! Everybody work! Everybody work! He big mean man whip us! We are slaves! Here we are! Help us! We will stop you! There's no escape this time! No, it is you who will be the one escaping, not Pikachu! Please don't sue! Ha ha ha! Axel Foley, Judge Reinhold! Tom Cruise! Oh no! You want the truth? You can't handle the truth! Show me the money! Oh no!
In 2002, he did a short Clerks thing for, of all things, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. And it's just them, and it's Dante and Randall in a car, and Randall talking about how much he wants a flying car.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant. And like,
brilliant.
It's all to get Dante to lose, like blow his top.
It's just a classic Randall messing with Dante.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's a clip of that too.
See? You're what's wrong with this country. Hell, with this world, you're always thinking about your own comfort level, never thinking about the rest of us. This country was built on sacrifice, and nearly 30 years of living a life full of selfish foot pampering and intergender intercourse has made you too soft to throw your hat over the wall for the good of mankind. And what's worse is, not only do you ruin it for the rest of us with the flying car, but you completely blow the notion of American nobility in the process. The children of the world have no heroic figure to emulate, so the future of mankind continues on its downward spiral into entropy and mass extinction until all that was once great about the human race lies buried in the primordial stew to which we'll most certainly return, thanks to you and your ilk's refusal to reach for the stars. And you'll forever be remembered as the sad footnote in the book of life, the wimpy little scumbag who could have breached the chasm of becoming and being, but instead opted to cover his own ass and foot in the process.
All right! I'll go through with the deal. I'll let the German scientists hack my foot off, then him and his friends can have their way with me, all for the flying car.
You'd do it with a bunch of guys just to get a car? I thought I knew you, man.
Yeah, that's Kevin Smith. So if you want to see Clerks 3, It is playing, unfortunately not locally. It's a Fathom event. Fathom events, they usually is like a pre-recorded intro by the director. And it's playing all this week through to the 18th. And I think the closest ones are in Londonderry and Newington. So it's a bit of a haul, but if you're a Kevin Smith fan, it might be worth taking a 2-hour drive to check it out.
Yep.
So, yeah, so this is Lost in Movies, and come back and get Lost in Movies again.